It's St George's Day, so we're going to be checking out some whiskey and not whiskey from the St Georges Distillery. That's coming right up. Hi everyone, welcome to Nonsense Whisky. My name's BMPF, and today we're going to be doing a bit of a different kind of episode. Usually I just do one whiskey or maybe two. Today we're going to be covering 3 whiskies and a non-whiskey, all from the same distillery, to celebrate St George's Day. Now, St George's Day is the patron saint of England, not Britain as a whole. Each of the individual countries has their own patron saint, and the English one is St George. Today, on day of release, is said day. The English Whisky Company has the St Georges Distillery. They are not quite the oldest currently producing whiskey distillery in England. There is one other, but this is probably the most prolific and putting the most out at the moment. The first one, the St Austell's one, isn't putting out that much liquid. It's mostly a beer brewery. The St George's Distillery opened in 2006, so at time of recording it's roughly sort of 12 years old, so you're not going to be getting super aged stock out of this stuff, but they have steadily released chapters until they got to the point where they're about 10 years old and they had a core range. In fact, I covered one of those last year sometime. I'll put a link up to that just here. That's the English original. They also do a smoky version, which I do have a sample of that I'll be covering at some point. But today I'm going to be going through the 3 of the evolutions of their liquids. So on the table we have the Chapter 6, which is really difficult to get hold of. It's kind of going to be an auction site thing. I was sent a sample of this by a friend. We're actually then going to skip on to Chapter 10 because it's a Sherry Cask, and that's the Chapter 10 Sherry Cask. The next one is the Chapter 9, but it's peated, so I thought I would do that one after. And then finally we've got this black looking thing here, and that's the Nelstrops Pedro Ximenez fortified wine. A little bit of a bonus. We'll get to that at the end. But let's go straight into the Chapter 6 and see where we are. Now, the reason why we're doing Chapter 6 first, this is actually almost impossible to get hold of, as I said earlier, but Chapters 1 through 5 were kind of pre-whiskey. So the first 2 were a new make. So Chapter 1 was a new make spirit, Chapter 2 was a peated new make spirit, Chapter 3 was a 22-month-old ex-bourbon first fill. Chapter 4 was a peated version of that, the 22-month ex-bourbon first fill. Chapter 5 was this in a limited release, its first 3-year whiskey. So Chapter 6 is their first general release 3-year-old whiskey. I was sent this by Chris Allen, who used to do a YouTube channel. In fact, if he's got a review of this, I'm sure he has. I'll put a link up here. If not, I'll pop up one to his channel. He doesn't produce content anymore, but it's well worth checking out his old stuff. This is a 3-year-old whiskey, so it was distilled in April 2012 and bottled somewhere in 2015. So it's 3 and a bit. It was sold for sort of 30 to 35 pounds, but now it's impossible. Let's go in for a nose and see where we're at. It's got this amazing light floral nose. It's not as malty as I was expecting it to be. It's really quite amazing for a 3-year-old whiskey. Kind of cream soda-y I want to go for on the nose as well. I should say as well, all of these, apart from the last, they're all bottled at 46%. That's pretty much their standard for these chapter bottlings. They're all also natural colour and non-chill filtered, so they're as they come out of the cask. So you can see what 3 years does to a whiskey right there. Let's try a taste. It's quite peppery, quite zingy. I'm getting that malt, that kind of malty flavour. It's something that you probably haven't experienced unless you've either been to a distillery and smelt the air in there. It smells lovely. Tried some new make spirit, that's super cereally, super malty. Or tried some young stuff. If you've kind of stick to your 12 years and above, you don't typically get that kind of early malty smells and flavours, but Not on the nose, but definitely on the palate. I quite like it. But considering, yeah, it's 3 years old, it's just a shame. It's highly unlikely, if this is the first time you've heard of this distillery, it's very unlikely you're going to ever try this whiskey, unfortunately. The next two, not so much. Let's move on to the Chapter 10. So I'm skipping one here because it's Chapter 9 is peated. I didn't want to ruin my flavour buds. They're currently on sort of Chapter 17 along with their core range, so you can skip ahead and you can try some of their more aged stocks. This one is actually just shy of 5 years. So it's an oloroso cask matured, as it reflects in the colour of that. This was distilled in October 2010 and bottled in September 2015. So it's missed that 5 year by just a margin. You can still get this. It's about £50 for the bottle. It's quite expensive. This and the next samples came from my Dram Team subscription. But it smells all kinds of awesome. Especially if you're into your sherries. I've been put off sherries recently with sulphury notes, but this doesn't smell like it. To me, I'm getting all them kind of sugars, the kind of sherry flavours that you're expecting to get. Doesn't smell so young either. Let's try some. It's smooth. There's raisins on it, all the kind of sherry notes that you typically expect. Some would say Christmas pudding. For me, not so much. I mean, I suppose like a vague sense of it. I've tried other whiskies that have been like horrendously Christmas pudding, but it's quite spicy. More of an aniseedy than a kind of clove or cinnamon kind of spice you get on bourbons. It's not overpowering though. Nice, a nice little tipple that. And for the final one out of the three, let's check out the Chapter 9 Peated. So this is the 2003 Peated. So it was distilled in April 2013, bottled in May 2016. So really, I've done these in the right order in terms of actual bottling, which is a bit odd. But it's definitely peated. This one's the cheapest one of the lot so far, £45. You can still get it in the UK. It's musty on the nose. There's ever so slight kind of peaty notes to it. It's not overpowering. So you can tell it's peated casks rather than peated barley. Yeah, it's a really gentle peat. It's not ashy, it's not medicinal. It's warming, it's spicy. It's burning wood rather than burnt wood. Really quite tasty. I like that a lot. My newfound love for peat says yay to that. Quite expensive. For a 3-year-old whiskey, we're talking £45, but it wouldn't be the first time I've spent that and been happy about it, so I would buy pretty much all of these. The current prices for the Chapter 6, no, but when it was released, probably should have bought a bottle back then. I tried one of the really early new makes. Wasn't a fan of it at the time, but I was just getting into whiskey, so around about the same sort of time actually that they were just putting these things out. But with a developed palate, you can kind of see through those new makey tastes and pick them up. I've got a couple of new makes on the shelf up there, which I will be covering at some point. Well, that's the 3 actual whiskies. Now we're going to move on to something that I was sent by Ben Bowers from A Dram a Day. And this is something that I never thought I would even hear of, let alone try. It's super viscous. It's called Nelstrops Pedro Ximenez, and it's a fortified wine essentially. So it's got a little bit of the malt whiskey in it, but it's mostly winey kind of sherry stuff. But it's look at the colour on it. I mean, if that was a whiskey, people would be going nuts for it, like a Cavalan or something like that. But it isn't. It's sold about £20 in the UK. It's a 20%, sometimes sold at 18%. So it's more of a liqueur than anything else. Let's try a nose and see what it's like. Oh wow! I mean, it's like liquid raisins. I mean, it's definitely been aged in oak. It's raisins. It's a touch woody. Well, that's got a really superior nose to it. Really rich and fruity. That's kind of the Christmas cake I'm talking about. Let's try some. Oh, yeah, more of that raisins. Definitely liquid raisins. It's kind of it's like a syrup. It's almost like a cough syrup. A flavoured cough syrup. It's really thick and viscous. Coats the mouth, coats the throat. Although, give me this over cough syrup any day. Oh, blimey, I don't think I could drink too much of that. That is very sweet. Oh, very sweet indeed. But really quite tasty. I think I would like more like a dessert dram, I would think. Something to have maybe at Christmas time with your Christmas cake, whatever. Pour it over it maybe. Wouldn't set on fire. Don't do that. Bad idea. Well, there you go. This a little celebration for St George's Day by checking out the St Georges Distillery. We've gone through a couple of their chapters. We've checked out previously some of their core range, the original. We'll be doing the smoky at some point in the future. But hopefully you enjoyed this. Hopefully this has opened your eyes. If you're from abroad, I get a lot of viewers that aren't in the UK. If you ever get the opportunity to try some English whiskey of any distillery, I cover as much of it as I can. There's loads more than I can cover. But especially these guys and the Cotswolds Distillery, the Lakes Distillery. Coming up, there's the Cooper King Distillery, who are just putting stuff out, just putting stuff into barrels, I think, or they've just installed their stills for the first time. I can't remember which level they are, but there's loads of stuff coming up. It's not just Scots that are making excellent stuff. It's going to be a long time before we get aged things, but English whiskey is back, and it's good, even if I do say so myself. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and don't forget to check out more videos. Thank you.